to Lagos. My first question really is, what are you most proud of about the web in its 30th year?
Ooh, I think generally it's been the collaborative spirit of all the people who helped build it. From the early days, when I put messages out about it, I got random people contacting me across the internet saying, can I help? And they've been a wonderful community. People, very constructive, working hard to resolve the differences in the way they should go.
So these organizations, most of them use the data, the ad-based revenues. This is what drives their businesses and the commercializations. Now, if we're saying that they should not use user data for their ads, what are the other options available to them to commercialize?
Well, I think there's a lot of different options. Some of them are people buy subscriptions to newspapers, and that pays for the newspaper to be produced. People donate to newspapers, a combination of sort of freemium models where the people who can afford to do, and the people who use it a lot pay for it, and the people who don't use it a lot get it for free. So there's lots of different ways in which users can actually pay. And I think after the recent fake news crises, we've seen a sort of backlash. And a lot of users I know are saying, I want to be able to pay a journalist because I want to know somebody's working for me, so reporting for my benefit. For example, you can have ad-based systems which do the best to target advertisers for commercial things, trying to help you book a holiday or something, or buy a car. That works in everybody's favor because you don't want to look at holidays that you'd never want to go on. But then you could say, but if you want to advertise, if you're a political party, they could say, well, then you can't target. You could say, sorry, we feel it's not democratic to be able to give a targeted advertising, sort of a dark ad, a hidden ad, which only one group sees. So the big social network companies could turn off targeted political advertising, and I think the world would be a better place.
All right, so let's talk about your company, Solid. Last year, September, you opened up the platform to developers to build their own apps using Erupt.
Yeah.
How's that been so far? What has been the successes?
So we just opened it up to developers. We said if you're a user, and it's still the case, if you're a user, then please wait, watch this space. Platform help us improve the servers, help us build apps, help us build frameworks, help us adapt frameworks to frameworks, help your React framework work with a Solid framework and things like that. So lots of work to do. Yes, we opened it up. It was one weekend. We turned it on a Friday, I think, and over the weekend we ended up with something like 20,000 people signed onto each of 2 sites. So a very large number of people came on board. So, I guess there must have been a bit of word of mouth. Now we have quite a very lively developer community. Obviously, there's a lot to do. We have to build all of the infrastructure you get with an operating system, like with the Mac, all the things that you've got context management in your calendar and all the basic things of life we need to build in a Solid compatible way. But it's very exciting and lots of great energy.
Okay, so you mentioned at the event that over 200 organizations have signed up for the contract for the web.
Yes.
So what's the stage? At what stage is the contract now?
So really, the important thing to remember is that the contract for the web is really about discussing what the contract for the web should be. It's about governments and industry coming together. So even though we say these are the general principles, which are easy principles to sign up for, like privacy and so on, but it's about when privacy meets the need of government agencies to catch up on criminals, for example, when hate speech, pushing back against hate speech meets the people who are demanding free speech, that sort of thing. Those are, there are a lot of areas where it's complicated and really everybody needs to be involved. Government, industry, and individuals and NGOs need to be involved. And so we launched it in Lisbon. That was the first time we really talked about it. This year so far, it's just been people joining, and there are working groups now. If you join now, you can join working groups. I think almost all the working groups have started. One or two has still to start, and then these working groups will work. And of course, it's very hard to predict how long things take. But the idea is that before the end of this calendar year, there should be some sort of report indicating where those people who sat around the tables came, what they thought about where we and the interface between technology and policy should be this year.
We have like technology giants like Google and Facebook also having signed this contract already. Those two are two of the main companies or organizations that are generally implicated in misusing user data. Now, do you think that being part of the contract for the web will change the way that they are handling user data?
Well, I think to start with, maybe you look at it's very easy to describe each company with a broad brush, but in fact, each of those companies is quite big, and so, for example, when you look at Google, has got different businesses with it. Within Gmail, they reckon to profile you extremely carefully. So any email you get to your Gmail account will tell them all kinds of things, and they will then put in your calendar. You've got a dentist appointment, and they reckon to understand your life completely. But then if you store stuff in a Google Drive, then I think they just let it be. So don't have very much of a different attitude. I haven't checked with them. So when you got Facebook, Facebook, they've got things like WhatsApp, where everything is encrypted, and they're worried about people being incited to genocide through the platform without having any control over it. And then you've got things like Cambridge Analytica, where of all the things which went wrong, the main thing there was that an academic used the web, used a combination of Facebook and Mechanical Turk to get people to volunteer their information for research purposes. He got a huge amount of information for research purposes and didn't use it for research purposes. He used it to tune very sophisticated targeted advertising, which may have actually changed the outcome of an election. So in that case, you can't just talk about social networking companies and such companies too broadly. You have to think about specific things, but one of the things which may come out of new legislation, for example, coming, is that it may be much clearer that the person who took data for one purpose and used it for another purpose is criminally liable, as opposed to people just saying, oh, that happened, too bad about the election. Part of the contract for the web is about accountability, about everybody should play their part.
Lastly, what do you foresee for the web in another 40 years?
I don't know which way we'll go, because I don't know whether we will be able to get enough focus on ironing out all the bumps before. Maybe the bumps will get worse and worse and worse, and it'll end up becoming fractured. Maybe there will be a completely different web in China and Europe and America and so on. But I think what's important is what we should think. We should focus where this is the future. Okay, this is something we can write, we can make. We shouldn't just try and sit back and report on it. We shouldn't imagine that it's predestined. If you look, after all, the path of the web, it's taken so many different twists and turns, and both technology and policy have changed hugely, and the way they interact has changed hugely. So in the future, I think it will, but we must make sure that the way that technology and policy interact in the future is something which respects people, which allows people to be creative and constructive in their collaboration, hopefully which encourages people to collaborate and sympathize across cultural boundaries, so that we can end up with not only good democratic decisions on a national basis, but also good democratic decisions, good solution of serious problems like climate change.
Right, thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks for doing it. Thanks for covering it.